broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
It's going down. Let's go, everybody. It's the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Homeland Season 5, Episode 11, Our Man in Damascus.
Yes.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm happy to be back here. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M, and joined, as always, by my lovely panelists, starting with Stephanie Garrett.
Hey, you can find me at Stephanie G3360 on Instagram and Twitter, and Stephanie Garrett 3360 on YouTube.
And her gray shirt brother, Julian Dujarric.
Yeah, we both got the memo. You can find me at Julian Dujarric all across the board on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that.
Cool. Good to be back, guys. You did a great job last week.
Well, thank you.
I watched the show.
I have big shoes to fill.
Oh,
Yeah.
please. Oh,
Yeah,
stop.
we did
Love
okay.
is in the air. It's the Christmas season, and Julian's being generous. So you guys did a great job.
Don't get used to it.
Yeah, fair enough. So we have a great episode in store to talk to you guys about, obviously, some shocking developments that happened here. So let's get right into our social media shout-outs like we do at the start of every week. You can use that hashtag ABTV Homeland on Twitter, Instagram, or just directly commenting on our YouTube page for our episodes each week. We go through your comments before we start and tape each one of these podcasts, and then we read them back to you. And we had some really good feedback. I've been noticing on YouTube just so many people commenting really smart stuff, but I like to start off with Twitter each week. I really like this one. This comes from Kelly Driscoll. She's at PSU Carey. I'm assuming that means Penn State Carey, which is a rival with Michigan. So we're going to forget about that part. But she did said, actually commenting on this week's episode, she said, again, why are they leaving Allison alone? Dummies. How quickly they trusted her again, which is such a great point. And we were saying that as the episode was going along while we were watching. We're like, what? When she asked Conrad for his gun, we knew something was bad. Well, why didn't he just keep his gun, or you order him to do that? But obviously she took advantage of knowing that Conrad was on her side, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I really thought, Carrie, that was a really good and smart point. And then one other thing that I liked on Twitter this week, this comes from Natalia Michelle. She's at Natalia Michelle _. She said, ABTV Homeland, hashtag ABTV Homeland, they need to do a lie detector test on Allison. Saul gets to do them all the time. Hashtag pretty little liar. Very funny hashtag.
Yeah, that's very true.
I like that. But yeah, I mean, they let her go, and all of a sudden she's back in the fold real quick.
Yeah.
Right. That's very true.
I didn't like that at all.
I don't like it either, and I don't know that a lie detector test will work with all of the training that Allison has.
Oh, yeah,
so I
she'll
think they
look
do a
around
little
at
something more extensive than a lie
Yeah, maybe a
detector.
little
but
waterboarding might help.
in addition to in addition to a lie detector, I think they should do some other things too to get her to sing like a canary.
Oh, Julian's got some torture ideas
I don't like
for
Allison.
I think.
Well, yeah.
I mean, who likes
You can't like
you can't
her at
like
this
her.
point. Okay, and then one other thing on Twitter that I want to point it out. Last week we got a couple bits of feedback. Julian meant that Quinn got injected with astropine, not by sarin.
Yes.
So we wanted to clear up.
And we knew it was the other
correction.
parasite.
knew.
We knew. Thank you for telling us. We just didn't have time to mention it. You know, we run out of time on this show for mentioning things.
Sure. So anyway, we really appreciate all of you guys putting your Twitter comments out there. So Julian, what did you see on YouTube that was really good?
Well, a couple of people are pretty conflicted about the Paris thing. One in particular, Monique Johnson, says, or I'll say, she says, the Paris comment was clearly a voiceover. They didn't show her saying it at all, so I thought that was interesting. But the comment immediately below hers by Miss LMAO says Paris is about Charlie Hebdo, clearly not the current one. So I'm just wondering, what makes you think that? I just thought it was very interesting, given the timing of the events, that Paris was mentioned.
Right.
You know?
Period. Like
Period.
it was mentioned, period. Yeah.
Well, it's just a sad circumstance that there are 2 incidences of terrorism recently in Paris to choose from. So I think the point being, Allison is again playing everybody and saying no one wants another Paris and appearing to be a good Samaritan when of course she isn't. So what else did you see, Julian, that you wanted to highlight?
Something our sentiments about Quinn, Chucky 102883 says, "My poor Quinn, I wanted to cry. Thank goodness my baby is alive." And I say yes, thank goodness, but I don't know for how long.
I know.
Especially when they're waking him up, and we'll get to that in a second. But I don't know if Quinn
let's get
can
right
handle
into it. Let's get
all
right
of
into
this.
that was the first topic I wrote on our board here was Quinn's.
Oh wait, before you do that, can I mention we have the live chat up?
Sure.
So if anybody wants to comment in the live chat, I don't have my phone. The guys have their phone. I left my phone in the car. I rushed to get here. So I'm handling the live chat. So if you have any questions or comments, please pop in and tell us your thoughts, and we'll pick you out and give you a shout out and read your question.
Yeah, and we see that
have a
Guns
couple.
Got 5 has already said the crew is back.
Yes,
so that's
we
right,
are.
we're all together today. So Stephanie will be handling the live chat for you guys. So, all right, let's get into the episode. Started with Quinn, unconscious, in a coma, and Carrie and Saul basically begging the doctor to wake him up and to do some bad damage to them. I had some logic problems with that scene.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really thought it was totally against anything that any doctor would do. I mean, what they're asking him to do is force someone awake, in that type of position. What did you guys think it was worth the risk to wake him up?
I did not.
Okay.
I just thought she just needs to wait it out. Of course, in this situation, with the terrorist attack, it's a little tough, but, Carrie's a risk taker. That's just what she does.
That's true.
So, yeah, I thought it was kind of sad because he looked very tortured. That's to send somebody, he's already in dire straits. You don't torture him more by pulling the thing out of the throat and waking him. Oh, that's just too much.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, all season long, he's been getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And now he's in bed, just completely out of it. I thought it was a little bit weird when the doctor walked out. I was like, "Hey, wake up!" And I'm like, is that medically real?
Right.
What did you think?
Like when I wake up in the morning, you'll be lucky to get a straight answer out of me as to what I had for dinner last night, let alone who's planning or a terrorist attack and where it's going. Don't ask me questions when I wake up. This guy's in a coma, medically induced coma, and they're shaking him awake as if that's going. First of all, the fact that you're shaking him, that's got to rattle his head somehow. It seemed, yes, I agree. It seemed logically inconsistent. That does not happen. I can't imagine a situation where that would ever actually happen.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
so I guess to answer your question, no, I absolutely don't think it was worth the risk because it was a stupid risk to take.
Yeah. Well, I guess I understand where Carrie's twisted logic comes in, where if we have the chance to find out where and what it's happening, then it's worth it. But this is somebody that you love. This is somebody that you're taking a great risk with their life. And Quinn, poor damn Rupert Friend. I mean, he's just, I don't know what network exec he pissed off this year to have to deal with constantly getting his butt kicked and being in the hospital beds all year. But in all honesty, it's been sort of a clinic in acting for him.
Yeah.
Very much
He's
so.
done such a great job, and our hearts go out to him when we see him in these tough positions, because if anything, he doesn't deserve anything close to that. But he's holed up in the hospital bed now, and he's out of service for a while this whole terrorist thing is going on.
Definitely out of service after that shaking scene.
The shake, the black bile coming
what
out of
is
his
this?
mouth.
Yeah.
Brutal to watch.
Yeah.
There are many moments in this episode where it was really brutal to take a look
And the
at.
fact that they pulled a thing out of his throat, I don't know if you've ever had one of those. I had one of those.
Oh, you have?
And it hurt. Well, it hurt. I wasn't awake, obviously, but once they take it out, it hurts to talk.
Okay.
After you've had a trach put in your throat, and then they stick it back in there.
Yeah.
Wait, they stick it back in once you're under again.
Yeah, once you're remember they woke him up to pull it out, and then they did what he did, and they tried to intubate him again.
Okay.
I'm like, that's torturous.
That's the only way you can describe it is torture.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's what it feels like.
Right. Yeah.
There were parts where I saw his eyes open up. I was like, oh, good, he's going to say something. But the overwhelming emotional response I had to that scene was, oh, leave him alone.
No.
just let him be. Let him be
let
in
him
peace.
rest.
That was brutal to watch.
Sometimes the smartest people make the dumbest choices.
Yeah, and Saul has been really dumb this season. He's let his emotions get caught up with him. Constantly lets go of Allison, and he got tied up with her. And just making weird calls on things.
And I just want to say, where's the medicinal authority? The doctor said this is not a good idea.
Right.
I advise against this strongly. Do they have jurisdiction over the doctor? Well, how does that work? I wonder.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm not an expert in international law, but that can't actually happen. I don't know that's not a real thing.
I think a good idea for all of us would actually be to look up Dr. Vince Houghton's article this week. He does the weekly article on what he found most believable and most fake. So go ahead and check that out. Check out his article. But I wanted to talk about Saul because he makes this horrible decision with Quinn, and he stands there watching while all that's happening, and then he betrays During's trust, which, by the way, I now like Otto During.
Yeah,
I've changed my mind.
I brought you over.
You did. You brought me over, and he reaches out to Saul and delivers Marwan to Saul, and Saul disobeys his trust, sends the B&D over. He's like, whatever, don't you understand there's a real situation here? But I kind of felt like Saul, that was kind of weak of you to welch on your promise.
Right.
What have you seen from Saul so far? Do you agree with me that I think he's sort of losing control a little bit over his decision making?
Yeah, I think everybody is sort of falling apart just a little bit, and even Saul, because he can't. You know what it's like? He can't control what's going on, and he's very much a control guy. You know what I mean? Allison's all over the place, and Carrie's here, and because he got all this stuff going on. But I see him sort of losing his grip a little bit. Yeah, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's a big grip to lose, right? There's so much happening that's so outside of him and out of his control. I mean, we even saw in one scene in this episode, in particular, where he was just so defeated. He's like, I need a break from all of this. I can't handle this anymore. And to see that coming from Saul, which is for me was just incredible. I never thought I'd ever see Saul get to that point.
Right.
Just because I kind of we know Saul as being this kind of impenetrable force.
Yeah. Well, and we've talked about him in the past too, in scenes that I've really loved from him. In the past, when he had his scene where he found his wife was dating another man, he kept all of that emotion and that anger on the inside, but it was also powerful because it was still. And now he's losing. He throws Allison against the wall. Right. And is doing a lot of screaming and shouting, and I thought it weakens his character. Yeah. To be in that position.
Well, when you're constantly, I mean, you have 6, however many seasons we have now of him, being in those positions of just stressors from every level. It's inevitable that a human being will start to lose control and weaken.
Yeah, even the toughest amongst us tend to break. In certain circumstances, and he's pretty tough.
He's pretty tough, but I think he's breaking.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anytime he can sit down and take his glasses off and say, "I just need a break."
That's a great point, because during this episode, so many things go wrong for him. Laura Sutton mouthing off, and I'm so over her, by the way.
Nobody likes Laura.
During tells her to shut up and not keep a low profile, and she's out there in the media screaming about how she has these classified documents, and she's just so blinded by her ambition.
Yeah.
And can't. I'm sorry, she's not a very likable character for me at all. I don't see any portion of her character or her actions that pass justification for me.
Yeah.
Is that?
But you know what? I do have to say, from my personal opinion, she is smart by going public with it.
Why?
Because first of all, she'll stay alive as long as the documents. But she knows it's coming.
But she said she's releasing them no matter what.
No matter what, right?
Which
so she knows
I thought was a mistake.
Oh, you did.
I think even if that wasn't her intention, I think saying that makes it so that that's a weakness in her strategy. Ooh. I think so. I mean, I don't. Why say that? Why just?
Well, what's his name? Snowden.
Edward Snowden. But Edward Snowden's living in Russia right now.
He's alive.
He's alive. He's alive
for now.
But if he were to ever come back here, he'd be thrown in jail.
Yeah.
He'd be prosecuted. So for Allison to do this, she may feel really self-righteous about the whole thing.
She does.
But I don't understand how that's helping. Keeping terrorists from attacking Berlin.
Yeah, Laura, you can't compare well, I guess I'm going to reveal how I feel about Edward Snowden in a second. You can't compare Edward Snowden, who many people believe is a hero in many ways, to Laura Sutton, who's clearly motivated by self-interest.
And because she goes on camera and she says, look at me, look at what I'm doing. And Edward Snowden, I watched the documentary Citizen 4. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Really, really good. He goes to, was it Singapore or Hong Kong? I can't remember where he goes.
Hong Kong, I think.
Yeah, so he goes into a neutral place where he can release the information to reporters and gets the information out there. So it's not about him. It's not about his moment. And Laura makes it about herself. And you can see, you know, when she goes on there and looks in the camera and I'm going to do this and I'm going to make my point because I'm going to be, you know, she thinks about herself first.
Yeah, she thinks she's doing everybody a favor.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. She just thinks she's doing everybody a favor.
It's hard to be sympathetic toward her. I'm not sympathetic toward her at all.
I'm not either, and I'm someone
I'm not
who either or all of the above.
Right.
I think you know, I'm all for speaking truth to power, and I'm very much a proponent of, you know, transparency in government, but this isn't that. This doesn't achieve that goal.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Really smart point. I like that a lot.
It just
because,
doesn't.
When During walks in there and is like, hey, keep a low profile, he's not asking her to silence herself forever.
Right.
He's saying there is an imminent threat to our country, to our city. Why don't you just take a break for a couple days?
Yeah,
I think that's all he's asking for. I don't think he's asking her, like you said, you know, there should be transparency in the way our governments work and what we're spied on, and are people going through my text messages when you have no reason to. I think there's a legitimate argument to be had there. But to take that, and you know, I'm taking it as real and debating, you know, what's happening in the show, but she has no business doing any of that. And she's obviously going to lose her job at the During Foundation.
Yeah.
You know, the path for Allison's about to get very dark, in my opinion.
You mean Laura?
Sorry.
For Laura.
Laura, Laura too.
Yes.
Laura and Allison.
Laura. Okay, so since I messed up, let's get into Allison.
Well, it is getting very dark
For the both of them.
For both of them, she's gone dark.
Very, very dark for Allison.
Super dark.
And like the Twitter shout out earlier, they are Dar Adal.
Please say his name right, because you're gonna. People just drives people crazy apparently.
Dar Adal and Saul.
Dardal.
You're such a troublemaker. Dar Adal and Saul trust her again enough to send her out on her own.
Yeah.
And Conrad.
Saul not so much.
Saul not so much.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything to stop it. And then Conrad tells Allison, you know what, I don't believe everything they're saying about you. Which was such an interesting planting of the seed by the writers, because you could see something coming down the road.
Right.
But I didn't expect
that. And then when Saul was in the hospital room, well, are we going too far now?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Excuse me. When Saul was in the hospital room asking Allison, so how exactly did that happen? Now, he's a trained CIA, what is he, like 6'3" agent, and this little guy, this professor, just takes his gun and starts shooting everybody. How's she going to get her? How's she going to explain that?
Okay, let's get into that scene, because there's a lot of logic problems that we saw with that scene.
Yes.
Number one, an agent giving up his gun to a person that he's supposed to be basically babysitting did not ring so true for me.
Right.
The biggest thing for me, and then I'm going to come to you, Julian, that was the logic problem, was the angles of the gunshots. Police investigation nowadays, they look at everything. Not only, like you were saying, Stephanie, while we were watching, about fingerprints.
Yes.
Like you've got wipe the gun clean or do something like that. But also the angles from which the bullets were shot. All of that is set up now. So you can't just explain it away by, oh, this person drew on me and then I wrestled the gun away. No, they're going to model where people were standing and how they got shot. So those were the big problems for me. What else did you see?
Well, all of that, which is why Allison flees. She knows that her logic, her story is BS, and no one's going to believe it. I mean, you saw it. What she calls, asks for an arrest team, or she tells the bodyguard to call for an arrest team, but then calls, I forget who it was,
Astrid,
yeah,
and says she's shot. But then this is how I feel. I feel like in that moment she realized, whoa, that may not have been the smartest choice. But now I have to shoot myself because I just told him I was shot.
Right.
I think she was in way over her head, and she was just making poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. And so I think that's all I could chop it up to.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I still don't know why she thought, like, what brought her to pull the trigger? Why did she think that would be the most effective? Like, where did she think that was going to go? If you shoot people,
yeah,
where do you think that's going to go?
Well, remember, she gets the directive from her new Russian overseer that she has to see this come to pass, this attack come to pass. Number one, their logic being that this type of attack will wake up America, and who they claim in the show that our president doesn't get it, and America's on the run. A couple of things that were said during tonight's episode, so that this terrorist attack will somehow wake up the West to the real effect of wiping out Al-Qaeda, which is what in ISIS, which is what the Russian government apparently wants, which we learned from this operative. So I think when Allison was listening to that audio file in the bathroom, I think that's where her direction was coming from. Not only she listens to that, and then the operative comes out and reinforces it for her.
Yeah, because they weren't specific about how they wanted that to occur. They just told her, make sure it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they told her, this is your last assignment.
Yeah,
You're damaged goods.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. But they're not threatening to wipe her off the map. They're not going to kill her. They said, this is your last assignment, you're damaged goods.
Because they would have done it already.
Right,
That's true.
exactly.
That's true.
They could do it at any time. But I thought, in a way, there was a silver lining for her, because she could go back, or if she couldn't talk her way out of it with her American officials, she could be okay, technically. So I didn't view it as a panic-inducing event until, I agree with you, Julian, she calls Astra and says, I've been shot.
Yeah.
And then you see it on her face, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do right now?
I have to shoot myself.
Yeah.
What was I
she's
thinking?
Like, oh,
what angle? What's interesting you said about the angles, because even still, like, I don't know if she was thinking that she was that calculating about it, but you saw her struggling to find where the entry and exit points would have been, or ultimately were, when she shot herself, or before she shot herself. So I wonder if that was in her thought process. But then again, the fact that she shot anybody to begin with means that she's not thinking clearly.
That was totally shocking.
She was panicked.
Yeah, she was panicking for sure. Yeah.
While we were all watching the episode, and I'm sure all of you out there were feeling the same way, when she shot Conrad, we all went, oh!
I thought she was bluffing. I thought she pointed at him just to make the guy sitting on that chair think she was crazy and have him sing.
Yeah.
But then she shot him.
I was like,
and we said, this beat is crazy.
Yeah. But again, like you were talking about, and what I was talking about with angles, she puts the gun straight to her chest, right here. And with the muzzle flash and the gun smoke, and the residue that's going to be on there, it's going to be obvious that somebody pointed a gun right in the $1 million zone for Allison. Because, bullet, as it travels, it gets a little bit slower, and that would be something the forensics people would know.
Yeah.
But again, I think I see your point as to why that happened, is because she vacates the hospital room when she realizes her story is not going to.
It's bogus, and now she's arguably the most wanted woman in the world.
Yeah, pretty much.
So where's she? All those millions are not going to. You can't outrun the government.
That's right.
You can't.
Unless you have more money than the government, but where else on the planet are you going to go? You're going to another planet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where can you go?
Her handler did say she had millions of dollars.
If she completed the mission.
If she completed the mission, but she's going up against governments that have trillions of dollars.
Right.
So what is she going to do? She's panicking. She doesn't know what to do.
She's in big trouble.
Yeah.
So let's take a quick time out to remind you guys that you can follow us, subscribe to us on iTunes, also subscribe to us on YouTube. We are down to our second to last episode. Next week is the season finale. So we want to thank all of you who have subscribed during the season so far. Give us a like or a thumbs up and a comment section underneath. That helps us keep the show going, and let us know that you're engaged out there. So getting back into it, of course, let's talk quickly about Carrie's pursuit of the terrorist attack, because now the final part of this episode and the wonderful cliffhanger was that the attack is underway, and the jihadis are in the train station, closing doors, wrapping locks, and the people are starting to get concern about, wait, what's happening? Why are you locking my door? And it's these Middle Eastern military-age males with backpacks on closing doors. And that's got to be a cause for concern. And I was mad that Carrie, once she saw Kasim, didn't like pull a fire alarm.
Right.
Or
yell or something.
Or yell, or, you know, get people out of there.
That's true. That's very true.
You know, I don't understand the point of her jumping out of the train tracks and running after whoever it is down there. I guess maybe she's trying to stop the gas from being released, which would be the best idea, but I wanted her to somehow take action to get the rest of the people out of there.
Well, she also doesn't know for sure that he's going to be there. I mean, she goes with a photo.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know that pulling the trigger of the fire alarm, although that would probably be my first thought, is necessarily the right thing to do if you don't know for a fact that he's going to be there. Ultimately, he was,
Right.
Yeah.
which at that point then maybe would have been wise, but I don't know that.
Yeah, I
that's the
remember
first thing that goes
Allison
in.
lied to Saul about where the attack was supposed to happen. She said it was at the airport and they were evacuating the airport.
Right.
And Carrie's like, no, I think it's at the train station, you know, so... Yeah, so she's there on her own, and she finally Saul gets the text, and you know then he goes into the room and says, you know, whatever. But yeah, so
but I think we need to see her take an action that would evacuate the majority of the civilians out of there, because the terrorists are going to attempt to attack however they're going to, but the more time you can give people, seconds matter.
Yeah.
So the more time you could have done, and I just thought it's a little bit of Carrie Crazy Train, wanting to save the day and be the hero instead of thinking to get everyone out of there. Yeah. What else about that scene struck you as interesting or that you're looking forward to for next week?
Well, what I thought, I just think, just to kind of piggyback on your point, it just again goes to show how Carrie's one-sided view of everything hurts her and everybody else around her.
Yeah.
Everything falls to the periphery when Carrie's on a mission. And sometimes that's great because, you know, sometimes it's great if there's one singular mission and she's very effective at accomplishing said mission. But other times when there are nuances like, you know, potential terrorist attack where in a train station with arguably thousands of people going in and out every second. Yeah. You know, it's not the right. She does her methods don't work. Her methods actually end up hurting the people around her, and we see now potentially on a massive scale. So, I just to piggyback on your point, that's one of the reasons. That's probably the main reason why she's one of my least favorite characters. It is.
Well, I think you're very right.
yeah.
About specifically about this scene and the events that are happening in this episode. Carrie has to think beyond herself and in her singular focus, as you correctly point out. Stephanie, your reaction to what Julian said?
Well, I think he's correct. I mean, she is good in certain areas, like when she was standing in Kasim's apartment and she's looking at everything and putting everything together. She's really good at that. But as far as following protocol, she's just not good. Yeah. She's just kind of... And then she's running into the train station with a gun. Luckily, she has a gun. Yeah. Because I think a couple of seasons ago, she didn't even have a gun. Yeah. So she has a gun now. So it's, you know... And she's not really even technically CIA. Yeah. So now she's just a civilian with a gun. Yeah. So
maybe she could have popped a couple shots off into the air or something just to get people running.
That's true. That's right. She could have. But then everybody goes, there's a woman with a gun in the
there's
station.
A woman. Yeah, there's a whole... There are other implications there, too.
And then the Germans would come in and arrest her. And,
it's a very complicated thing, and it's just amazing to me that she feels like she alone can bring simplicity to such a complex situation. It's freaking maddening to me. I get so angry. I really do, because because in no other situation would that be okay. But in Carrie's mind, yes, I'm gonna save the day, like you said. Yeah. And it just is not the case. Carrie, you're not Superwoman.
No, and you need backup going into a dark
tunnel.
Backup,
thank you.
Yeah, in a dark tunnel by yourself as a woman. Really? Who does that?
Yeah.
Well, Carrie does.
Our heroine does.
Go Carrie.
Just a bit of news. She was nominated again for a SAG award.
Her chin was.
And her chin was her chin bob when she's about to cry.
Yeah.
Get a close up.
Yep.
Am I doing it?
No, you're not even close. You're moving like the sides of your chin.
That's why I'm not nominated for an Emmy.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens next week. The season finale is coming up.
And season 6, is it coming?
We're
starting?
Season 5, right?
Yeah. Well, season 6 they've been renewed.
They just got renewed. Word got out this year.
There's more Homeland to come.
Yeah,
so let's move into our final segment, as always, our favorite, and this will be our last one for season 5, and that is predictions.
Oh, that's true.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Julian, lead us off.
I'm going to use the same prediction I used last week. I think these documents will be leaked, and it's just going to wreak havoc, and it's going to be that'll be the cliffhanger for this season finale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good one.
Good one.
So you think Laura is going to...
I think Laura's going to leak these documents.
Leak them, okay.
And I said on the dark web, on the deep web, dark web?
Dark web.
Yeah. I think dark web is like the shady part of the deep web.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. It's safe to say. But I said that it would be there, but I think it's going to be on the surface web, and it's going to be available to everybody. I think her ego is just completely out of control, and she is going to release these documents, and that'll be the cliffhanger.
Yeah, and I think she's going to meet her demise.
And yeah.
Wait, who?
Laura.
Laura is going to meet her
demise. Yeah.
What does that mean? Is she getting arrested or?
Probably,
probably.
Either arrested or dead.
Or tortured.
One of the three. Something's going to happen to Miss Laura. Miss Laura's not going to go without consequence.
Okay.
There are going to be consequences for her actions. Count on it.
Okay. That's your Stephanie Garrett guarantee of the week.
Count on it.
Can I make a prediction about Allison?
Go.
Oh yeah, go.
I think Allison's done for. I don't think Allison, they'll find her. I feel like she's done. She's gone. We're never going to hear from Allison again. Maybe in a couple seasons, I don't know, or sometime next season.
Well, that goes to my prediction I said about her last week. She's going to pack all her Gucci bags, and she's going to just disappear into the ethers.
But I don't think it'll help her if they don't get this attack off. Because part of her contingency in getting that money is that this attack goes through. So
Right.
I don't think she's gone just yet. I think she has to make sure that this does happen. And she's clearly taken the route that she's going to do it. She's going to choose her material life over being morally, correct, in that she could help stop this attack because the doctor told her where it's going to be, and she lied about it.
Yes, she did.
So clearly, she is really, really evil. I'm done with her. I really am. I mean, there's nothing redeeming about her either. My prediction is about the terrorist attack itself. I think it will not go off. I think it won't? I do not think it will go off. I think Qasim, we saw him, he kept opening the door as more and more people looked at him. He left a door open. I think they may get one canister off, manually that BB can do, but that ultimately casualties will be minimal, and we will, our team and our hero, Carrie, will have prevented another terrorist attack.
Yes, I agree with that.
You agree? Do you?
I don't.
You don't?
Oh.
No, I think this attack will go through. There's no signal. It's seconds count, like you said.
Yeah.
And he's been in the tunnel probably, we can say, maybe 4 minutes longer than she has.
Yeah.
So there's a very slim chance that it'll be deterred, but I don't think it will. It looks bleak.
I think there's a lot of evidence supporting your view. BB murdered someone who he knew was not correct. He is driven to make this happen, to make his jihad, complete. And it's really scary. I'm truly hoping that, just as a fan of the show, it does not happen. But it could go. It could go either way at this point. They're leaving us hanging, which is exciting, and why we're going to come back.
And there's no backup.
And there's going to be a serious cliffhanger next week.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe there'll be more than one.
I know. We're going to have to just wait a whole season, wait a whole year to see another season. Yeah.
That's why we love this show and why we come back every time. So that's it. That's all for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. As always, we have been your panel for Season 5. One more episode next week, starting with Julian Dujarric.
Who you can find all across the board on all social media at Julian Dujarric everywhere. Hit me up.
And Stephanie Garrett.
And I am at StephanieG3360 on Instagram and Twitter.
Cool. And I'm Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. We love you guys for sticking with us all season long. Come back next week for the season finale.
Yes.
It's sure to be exciting.
It will be.
Happy holidays, everyone. Go out. Have a blessed week. We'll see you back soon.
Take care. See ya.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.